Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Pleb Underground. I am your host, Phil. We are apparently the most hated Bitcoin-only podcast in the space. And guess what? We are going to wear that like a coat of armor. Anyways, guys, we've got a great show today. Let's dive into what we are going to be looking at. If you already haven't heard about this guy who's essentially been searching for his hard drive since 2013, I've covered this story multiple times. Guess what, guys? It's finally coming to an end. But wait, there's more. And obviously, we are going to dive into it as well. Ethiopia, right? Ethiopia is mining Bitcoin and making some cash. Who are the players behind them? Who's funding that Bitcoin mining in Ethiopia? Very interesting stuff. Also, at the same time, obviously, happy to see that that's happening out there. What else? We've got some crypto trading that is going to be coming to the mainstream exchanges, right? People who are using stuff like E-Trade, essentially these legacy platforms, right? As we've said in the past, as I've said in the past specifically, right? This is. The institutions are here this time, right? This isn't 2017 and this isn't 2021. Now the institutions are here, the frameworks are being built, and we're starting to see some, some progress on that. And what else are we going to take a look at? Oh yeah, that's right. Coinbase striking while the iron is hot. That's right. A shelf. What is it? Shelf registration. $2 billion in bonds that they're going to sell right now. People think they're going to purchase Bitcoin with it, but I'm thinking they haven't been purchasing much Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Why are they going to purchase Bitcoin with it now? Yeah, I know it's terrible. This is why we are the most hated Bitcoin only show on YouTube. Anyways, guys, before we dive into all these stories, you know the deal. We're going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we will be right back. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. That's right, guys. Head on over there. Support the show. Support Archimedes Emporium. All right. So, and that is not the screenshot that I wanted to show. That's great. Okay. So, Streamyard has come back. Okay, hold on. We're getting some questions here before we dive into it. Yeah, Stack Bitcoin show. Why hated? I've come to this conclusion, man, because essentially, how can I say this? I watch other Bitcoin content creators, right? They definitely watch my content, and I spend a lot of time on social media, right? And I can see that essentially, right? We oftentimes at Pleb Underground, we're actually a lot of times we'll end up telling you something months before one of the mainstream ones will tell you, or even provide a more accurate picture of what exactly is happening, not just to sell the hopium, but to make sure people don't get wrecked. And we just won't get that engagement. And look, I get that, we can come up with all the reasons in the world, right? Why some people get engagement, why some other people don't, right? Some people will say, well, Phil, you don't go to enough conferences. But then I have to ask, what about all the YouTube creators that don't go to any conferences at all, that have like 7 million subscribers, right? What's their secret? So for whatever reason, right? Whatever it is, and it's totally fine, right? For whatever it is, hey, Pleb Underground, we're not as loved as the people shilling you the stuff that makes you feel good. And that's okay. Right? Like that, the whole point of me starting this was to be Bitcoin only signal and to provide my perspective, right? Like that was the whole point. So that's exactly what we're doing. It's okay. I'm not worried about cracking the code, man. Cracking the code involves kissing the ring and just a whole bunch of circle jerking and lying to people to get ahead. And in all fairness, I'm not here for that. I already was in the corporate world. I spent over 20 years doing that kind of bullshit. I'm done. Right? So, hey, Suit of Armor, the most hated show. Let's effing go. All right. So Back to this. Tim Pool down bad. It's the global elite want BTC to be the new reserve currency. Wrong, Tim. Wrong. You'd think somebody with so much access to the internet, right? Like spends all day on the internet. You'd think he realize how Bitcoin came about. Like the global elite do not want Bitcoin. The global elite, make no mistake, want their walled gardens to remain and fiat to be endless, and for all of us sheeple to never ask any questions. That is the ideal situation. So this nonsense about the global elite, being the new reserve currency that the global elite want, that's a bad take, Tim. Bad take. Time to go back to the pool. All right. Anyways, moving on, right? Let's take a look. Coinbase they're planning to do the 2 billion convertible note offering. So of course, by this, they say, hey, look, we're not going to be issuing more shares. It kind of helps with the share dilution. What's really interesting, though, is that Coinbase is actually, for all intents and purposes, they are not an financially unhealthy company. So I just think in this particular case, right, to me, this is a bit of a nothing burger. And this goes back to what I said at the beginning. Coinbase wasn't buying Bitcoin hand over fist with all the money they were getting until now, right? They didn't do it when they went public. So all of a sudden, people think that they're going to take this $2 billion and buy Bitcoin with it. I highly doubt that. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sure some other people are going to, fill you with hopes and dreams about how Coinbase is just going to buy a ton of Bitcoin. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think they're buying any of that stuff. But hey, look, we'll see. Right or wrong, we will find out. Anyways, moving on. All right, so the next piece to this, you guys may have seen this, right? The CFTC is going to launch an initiative for trading spot crypto asset contracts that are listed on a CFTC registered futures exchange designated contract market, or DCM. Okay, so what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, it means that you're going to see, or hopefully going to be able to see, for the people who want that, right? Who the people who want shitcoins. I don't. But if you want to be trading crypto and all that good stuff, well, there is a possibility that you may end up seeing it, right, on services like it says here, similar to E-Trade. So this melding of the the crypto and equities world, it's all kind of coming together, right? It's all mixing, and that's okay. I mean, this is part of the process, right? Hyper Bitcoinization, adoption, all of this, right? It's going to entail some things that as individuals we may agree with, other things that we don't agree with. However, this is part of the process, right? It's not all just one step, then it completes, then we move to the next step, then it completes. No, all of these steps are happening essentially in unison, and they're all happening at different times at different places. So, it's like you just gotta take it in stride. It's not a surprise. You can just look at this as the hat tip, I guess, or the official validating nod, from the legacy system to crypto stuff. Now, the question is, right, what does that mean for existing, crypto exchanges? Well, if I were them, I would probably worry. Like, if you didn't build up fast enough, right? Like somebody like Binance, who became a beast. I think exchanges like Binance are going to be fine, but all these tiny little exchanges that have kind of come and gone, they are going to continue to appear and disappear. And for the most part, they're just going to disappear. I don't see it. I don't see these kind of niche little exchanges sticking around. Like, for perspective, back in 2017, right? If you wanted to buy some of these really crappy shit coins, and I know it's all just stuff in the dumpster. Okay, so bear with me. But if you wanted to get something that was like brand new that nobody knew about, you had to go, in most cases, to these terrible little sketchy exchanges to buy your token there. Okay, and then you would attempt to transfer it off the exchange. And that would be a whole different story, because that's where they ding you, right? These tiny little exchanges that make no money. When you try to withdraw, that's where they get you, right? And anyways, that's essentially the type of stuff you had to do. And this is really a sign of the space maturing, right? We're seeing mainstream exchanges like E-Trade and stuff like that. They're going to be supporting crypto, and it's this is the natural progression. Anyways, moving on to the next story. Let's see here. All right, let's dive into the Ethiopia stuff. right? Because I think that's pretty interesting. So yeah, you probably have seen this, and if you haven't, here you go. Bitcoin mining helps Ethiopia earn $55 million from extra energy, boosts electrification plans. Okay, I'm seeing this as a double-edged sword, and I'll explain why in a second here. Let's go through it, right? So the revenue came from tapping into unused renewable energy, and this is a common theme that we see in Bitcoin, specifically hydropower that would otherwise go to waste. So what some people may not know about power generation is that the problem isn't usually about generating the power. The problem is storing the power and being able to get the power to businesses and people that need it. Quite often, these rails aren't created, and this is how we end up in situations where you have stranded energy, right? Energy that's stuck in the middle of nowhere that can't get anywhere. So this is how Bitcoin comes into the picture by being able to immediately convert that wasted energy into hash power, right? Which then, for the businesses that are doing this, for the countries that are doing this, they can earn, right? They can earn and they can help build out their infrastructure. Anyways, so not all of it is currently used due to limited transmission infrastructure and low electricity demand in some regions. Okay. Hold on here. The next piece to it. Okay. So this is what's been going on. Ethiopia has been using the profits from Bitcoin mining to help expand its electrical grid. Right. This is exactly when we talk about countries and just governments using Bitcoin to their advantage. This is the type of stuff we're talking about, right? Because where would that money normally come from? It would just be debt. It would just be debt. But in this case, the Ethiopia is doing a financially positive. It's a positive service that, number one, creates jobs in the region, and number two, also provides an avenue to help build out and solidify their infrastructure. These are good things, right? Like this is all good stuff. Now, the one thing that's kind of interesting about the Ethiopia story, though, I just want to see if I actually I have this piece of the story here. No, okay. But essentially, I did some further digging, and it turns out that the two main countries that are funding the Ethiopia mining are Russia and China. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole politics tinfoil hat and everybody's enemies all over the world. Okay, you could just leave it at that. But the question then becomes, right? Because a lot of people talk about, well, wait a second, China just banned mining. Oh, but look, they're funding mining in Ethiopia. So that's all just fake, right? And for the people who think that Russia isn't accumulating Bitcoin, why are they funding mining in Ethiopia? Because they don't care about Bitcoin? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's okay. Everybody cares about Bitcoin. They just pretend they don't care about Bitcoin. It's called coping. That's what it is. And it's okay. Everybody copes. Like I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, I was coping about the people who bought Bitcoin at $30. I was coping about people who bought Bitcoin at $200. We're all just humans. That's all. All right. So moving on from the Ethiopia stuff. So yeah, I do think Ethiopia mining Bitcoin's a good thing. Yeah, $55 million, definitely going to help out with their infrastructure. And to me, these are the kind of wins I like to see. Like, yeah, I get it, right? We're all really excited at rich people buying Bitcoin and creating debt products with them. That's fantastic for the guys in the suits. But I like to see countries that are essentially doomed not to make it, that are making it, right? They're finding their way out. And this is good stuff. This is what I consider good stuff. Anyways, okay. Moving on here. Let's get to the hard drive guy. Right? It's James Howell. Right? James Howell. So, for the people who are not familiar with this story, okay? After 12 years of failed attempts, the man who lost his hard drive containing 742 million in Bitcoin, really it's 8,000 BTC, finally ends his search. And guys, this is from 2 months ago. Okay, this article. That article is from 2 months ago. So supposedly he finally stopped his search. Now, why is this story important? The story, it's actually not important, but why is it relevant? Sorry. It's relevant because every freaking bull market, this guy gets taken out of the closet, shaken off, and they're like, hey, do your engagement thing. Looking for the Bitcoin. Whether or not he's actually been looking for this Bitcoin all this time, to me, is almost irrelevant. It's just a story that keeps coming back in Bitcoin over and over again. The guy with the lost hard drive. Oh, Bitcoin just broke 125K? Cue the FUD. You know what could happen? You could lose all your Bitcoin. And I'm not saying that that's why they do the story, right? They just do the story for engagement to remind people, oh, look at what happened. Life-changing money, right? Lost in the dump. Anyways, so that's... it's just ridiculousness. Now, you may be wondering, right? You may be wondering. So he stopped looking for it, but what comes next, you may ask? You guys know what comes next. You guys know exactly what comes next. That's right. So here's a tweet from James, right? This is a tweet. I think this was like yesterday. For over 12 years, I tried everything to engage the Newport City Council. So here we go, right? It's the victim, right, versus the oppressed. He's tried everything with the city council, right? Public proposals, percentages, mediation, legal action, and a formal 25 million pound offer, $1 billion, and they ignored it all. He's down bad. No response. No logic, no leadership, and in his case, no backup. No backup. Say it. No backup. Anyways. Guess what? He's done asking for permission. Oh my God, he's tokenizing the entire wallet. Bro, it's in a garbage dump. You are tokenizing nothing. That 8,000 BTC. So of course, guys, TLDR, this guy became a freaking grifter. It's no surprise, right? This is what I kid you not. This happens over and over again. We're like Alzheimer's patients. It's just the weirdest thing, right? Like some people may say, "Oh, but that wasn't his original intention." Might I remind you, Bernie Madoff, right? His Ponzi scheme lasted over 30 years. Okay, there's a lot like. To think for a second that you can't honestly have a long con scenario, don't be naive. You very well could have a long con scenario. Now, I'm not saying that is exactly what he has done, but let's face it, right? At this point, it's become so much money, right? It's like we're talking life-changing money for generations. It's like he needs to catch up. And I swear to you that this is almost the theme of almost every single person that did not stack hard enough, that doesn't continue to stack, and that just wants to shortcut their way to that. It's always the same thing. Once they realize they can't catch up, we get into a bull market. It immediately becomes, how can I capitalize on this as quickly as possible? Because at this point, he's down. He's down those 8,000 BTC. Okay. So yeah, it's not good stuff. So here we go. This is where, and again, this is, I find interesting, the victim portion of it, right? To the established and distinguished gatekeepers who blocked me for over a decade. You can block the gates, you can pack the cords, but you can't block the blockchain. That's right. He's exerting freedom right here. Crypto already won. Funny, he's had only Bitcoin sitting in that dump. Now all of a sudden it's crypto. And this is the name of his weird tokenized shitcoin thingy. Streamyard or whatever is coming, and your world is collapsing. No, bro, you're just down bad. This is an excellent take, by the way. Talk about strategic dumpster reserve. Absolutely. That is just, it's so cringe. It's so cringe, and it's too bad. This is essentially what ends up happening, and it really is a shame. All right, last story here. Let's go see what we got. We've got Indonesia. That's right. So Indonesia explores Bitcoin as a national reserve. So, of course, when I saw this, right, one of the first things I thought of was El Salvador. Now, of course, El Salvador did the legal tender thing, slightly different, of course, but right, the The second thing that came to mind is, so Indonesia is exploring Bitcoin as national reserve. Well, that's not good. So the next question becomes, do they owe the IMF any money? Right? Because that's really going to determine how difficult of a time they're going to have. But guess what? No, it turns out Indonesia does not currently owe the IMF any money. Okay. And it's been fully repaid for 15 years. So Indonesia, hats off to you guys. You may actually get a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I am very curious though, after they get the ball rolling for that, does the IMF all of a sudden show up? Right? It reminds me of that meme, the Steve Buscemi meme where he's dressed as a skater. How's it going, fellow kids? That's the IMF. Anyways, yeah, guys. So look, pretty, even though Trump is just totally screwing up the market, well, maybe not necessarily Trump, but this administration is just kind of causing the market to tank. That's fine. Whatever. Bitcoin's holding up nice. And yeah, just zoom out. Look at the signal, guys. All of this is happening. All these rails are being built. All of these countries are paying attention. I'm not saying this time it's different, but we are definitely in the throes of hyper Bitcoinization, and we are in the midst of the happening. Guys, that's going to do it for me today. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Peace.